What type of photographer do you think of yourself as? And is the way you think of yourself as a photographer a result of the images that you create? Or are the images that you create influenced by the type of photographer you think of yourself as? Confused? You probably will be. Today's video is about labels and limits. I hope you'll enjoy it. If you do, and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. I think I said this in an earlier video. I used to describe myself as a landscape photographer, and at the time it was probably an accurate description because that's what I used to do most of, landscapes. And I was probably quite a traditional landscape photographer. I tended to go out early in the morning and late in the evening. I used a tripod, all of the things that we expect to see in landscape photography. Now things are a little bit different. See, one of the things I noticed was, because I defined myself as a landscape photographer, possibly subconsciously, I ignored opportunities for images because I didn't feel that they were landscape photography images. They were something else. So I walked past them. I didn't even consider shooting them. So I missed out on a lot of potential opportunities. Now, however, I will photograph anything, or at least pretty much anything, if it grabs me, if it makes me look twice and think there's a potential for an image there. I'll just go and have a look at it and see if I can compose it in such a way that I think it's going to be interesting, even if it's something that doesn't fit necessarily what I might think, or at least in the past have thought, was the type of photography that I do. So, for example, here there's a ruined building. It's like it's part of a barn. There's a rusty old trailer in there. There's loads of rubble and rubbish in there. There's an old blue plastic crate in there. And there's a view through, which has actually got a mountain in the background. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that's not very appealing. And certainly as a landscape image, it wouldn't work. But it's worth having a go at. Main challenge here is the brightness of the background as opposed to the darkness inside, so it's going to be an auto bracket. I'll probably only go a stop either side. I think that's probably enough. And I'll kind of want to compose it so that I've got the mountain through the window, and then the question is vertical or horizontal. Proving to be difficult to get the angle I want. I wanted the mountain visible through the window, but if I shoot that way, I'm cutting off part of the trailer and I'm introducing a gap in the roof up there, which doesn't look so good. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it quite the way I want. I suppose I could use the gap in the roof as a feature. That might work. Let's try that. So we've got a scene here. There's a speed limit sign here, another slightly confusing one over there, then a bridge which goes actually over the motorway. And I'm kind of thinking there might be an image to be shot here. The challenge with this scene is there's a pylon here which I don't really want in the frame, and if I shoot over to the left, in other words put in the speed limit sign on the right hand side of the frame, I want the 30 kilometre per hour speed limit sign in. I also want the 60 kilometre an hour recommended maximum speed in, because it just appeals to my warped sense of humour that you've got a recommended maximum speed of twice the actual legal speed limit. I don't know, it just gets to me slightly. But if I do that, that pylon is going to be in there. I don't really want it. So what I'm thinking of doing is shooting with the 30 kilometre an hour sign on the left hand side of the frame, and that should just let me keep that pylon out. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's the beauty of these things. I'm going to have to kind of stand very close to this edge here and try not to fall off. I want the bridge, the curve of the bridge going out to be visible. There's quite a nice tree here. It's kind of split open up the trunk and spreading out, lots of textures, dark green leaves. And what I want to do is get a shot where the leaves are kind of nicely framing or nicely positioned around the trunk and the crack in the trunk, avoiding too much of the background coming through, if any of it, so that that's not going to be a distraction, because that's a lot brighter than the foreground here. The tricky bit, I need to be in quite close, and the tricky bit is going to be depth of field if I'm in this close. And I don't think, if I step back and put on a longer lens, I don't think it's going to work, but we might try that in a second. Just going to try shooting probably at about 65 mil from a distance, because even though it's a longer focal length, because I'm further away, the actual sort of difference in distance between the leaves and the background is not so much, if you see what I mean. So I might actually be able to get a better depth of field this way than being right in close with a wider angle. Now, I'm not recommending people don't specialise. In fact, for those that are out to make a name for themselves, to become well known, specialisation is almost mandatory. You know, think of any particular style or genre of photography and there will be names that pop out at you. And those people have specialised. They've done almost nothing but that particular style or genre or type of photography in order to get very, very good at it and to get recognised at it. Plus, if you're looking at photography as a business, you're almost certainly going to have to specialise. If you generalise too much, you know, who are your customers going to be? You have to think about, you know, catering to a particular customer base. So if you want to be well known, if you want to make money out of it, then specialisation is almost certainly going to be required. And that probably means concentrating your efforts on a particular style, type, genre of photography. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is don't put limits on your photography that don't have to be there. If you're not seeking fame or fortune, then realistically the only limits you should have are ones of enjoyment. If you enjoy doing it, do it. If you don't, don't. And that's kind of what I try to employ in my photography now. I don't care whether what I'm shooting is a landscape or urban or abstract or wildlife or macro or whatever else it might be. And I guess that kind of brings us to the end of the video. I just want to say, for those people who posted on my last video with like get well messages after the virus that I've had, thank you very much. I am improving. I'm still not 100% over it yet. I'm still a little bit sort of breathless and coughing, but hopefully a few more days and I'll be back to normal. And hopefully I can start to do some of the things that I had planned to do before I got it. And I guess next week you'll see what's happened. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a comment, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Until next week, thank you very much. Bye.